Your coding agent can burn through a paid plan without finishing much of anything. It reads the repo, asks the same questions, wanders in the files you never mentioned, and tells you the work is done before you have seen one real receipt. That is usually not a model problem. It is a setup problem. Before you give the agent another task, fix these 5 defaults. They can turn the same plan from a long conversation into completed work. If you want more practical agent systems like this, subscribe. Every subscriber feeds back into 08 development, and I will keep showing the workflows that survive real work instead of only looking good in a demo. The first default is one project instruction file. Its job is not to explain your entire company. Its job is to stop you from repeating the same rules every time you open a task. Put the verification command in it. Put the parts of the project the agent may change in it. Put your safety rules, your style rules, and the definition of done in it. If one folder has different rules, keep the exception close to that folder. Some coding agents use a file named agents.md. Others use a different project instruction file. The name matters less than the function. The agent should load the stable rules before it starts guessing. Here is what does not belong there: passwords, temporary task details, a copy of your whole wiki, and 10 rules that contradict each other. Stable defaults go in the file. Today's objective goes in today's task. The second default is a permission boundary you chose on purpose. If the agent has too little access, it stops every few minutes. If it has unlimited access, one vague instruction can reach far beyond the work you meant to approve. For normal project work, start with access to the project and require approval before the agent crosses that boundary. The exact labels change by tool, but the decision stays the same. What can it read? What can it change? Can it use the internet? And which actions must come back to you? Full access does not make the agent smarter. It only makes the blast radius larger. Give it the smallest boundary that still lets the task finish without useless interruptions. The third default is one bounded outcome per task. Most waste begins with a request like, make the app better. The agent has to invent the target, the scope, and the finish line. You pay for all 3 guesses. A strong task has 5 lines. Outcome, add CSV export to the reports page. Scope, the reports UI and the existing export helper. Success, the filter rows download in the current test pass. Non-goals, no redesign, no new dependency, no unrelated cleanup. Receipt, show the change files, the test result, in one real UI check. That is not a giant prompt. It is a small contract. The agent can make decisions inside the box without turning one feature into a tour of the whole repository. The fourth default is knowing when to start fresh. Continue the same task when you are correcting the same outcome. Start a new task when the objective changes. If a thread began as a login bug, then became a pricing page, then became an analytics audit, the agent is carrying old assumptions into new work. More history can feel helpful while quietly making the target harder to see. Keep one task coherent. When you switch outcomes, open a fresh task and give it only the context it needs. This is an operating rule, not a promise that a new task magically creates more quota. The point is to spend less of your plan asking the agent to separate yesterday's job from today's. The fifth default is turning repeated work into a reusable skill. If you have explained the same workflow 3 times, stop explaining it in chat. A skill can package the instructions, references, scripts, and templates for one job. Thumbnail Q&A can be a skill. Release verification can be a skill. A weekly analytics review can be a skill. Keep each skill narrow enough that its name tells the agent when to use it. Then keep heavy references outside the main instructions so they load only when that workflow is active. The goal is not to install 100 skills. It is to remove the repeated explanation from the jobs you do every week. Now add the rule that catches the most expensive failure. Done requires a receipt. A file path is not a receipt. Test passed is not enough if nobody ran the real user flow. For a code change, ask for the files changed, the command that passed, and verification from the actual entry point. For an upload, ask for the returned ID and a readback from the platform. For a visual, ask for the final export and the frames that were inspected. The receipt should match the risk. A copy change may need one screenshot. A payment flow needs a real sandbox transaction. The agent does not get to choose trust me as the verification method. So here is the 10-minute setup. Create one short project instruction file. Choose the normal permission boundary. Save a 5-line task template. Move repeated workflows into narrow skills. Then make receipts part of your definition of done. That setup will not manufacture more quota. It does something more useful. It gives the agent fewer rules to rediscover, fewer permission surprises, less unrelated context, and a finish line it can prove. The model is only one part of the system. Your instructions set the direction. Your permissions set the boundary. Your task sets the target. Your skills remove repetition. Your receipts prove the result. Fix those 5 defaults before you buy a bigger plan. You may already have enough agent. You just need a tighter operation.